We fish to provide for our family. That's our job.
É muito importante a pesca de verdade porque fornecer dinheiro para toda a área de Zafora.
Sulawesi Tenggara ini memiliki jumlah nelayan kecil kurang lebih 90%.
Our whole life is anchored on this mangrove forest.
98% de las comunidades locales dependen del recurso pesquero para poder sobrevivir.
Para mim, a pesca é tudo.
To sustain our fisheries, we have to balance the protection of resources with the needs of the people who depend on them by identifying which parts of a fishing area can yield the most fish if properly protected, then empowering communities to fish more sustainably. Here's how the science works. Understanding how species move across the seascape is key to the success of this strategy. Let's try to see things from the eyes of a fish, like this snapper, for example. As adults, snapper live in coral reefs where they feed on smaller fish, spawn, and release their eggs, which hatch into larvae. These larvae are swept out into open water and travel with ocean currents that carry them across large regions or bring them right back to where they started. The lucky ones that survive the journey settle in mangroves and seagrass beds, which act as nurseries. Here, juveniles grow, then migrate to coral reefs where they stay for the rest of their lives. So if we want to protect and sustain the snapper population, we need to protect all of the habitats that support their entire life cycle. And habitats don't just support fisheries. Mangroves, seagrass, and corals also protect coastlines from storms and help mitigate the effects of climate change. Marine reserves are a proven strategy for protecting fisheries species and critical habitats. These reserves are no-take zones where fishing is off-limits. Reserves provide a place for species to mature and replenish their populations, which then spill over into areas that can be managed sustainably in order to maximize those benefits. But individual reserves are often not enough because larvae can travel long distances. To protect the full range of habitats that fish need, we need to establish networks of marine reserves. How does this work? First, we profile a fishing area and ask the community which species are important to them for food and livelihood. These species will be prioritized for protection. Then we map the habitats that support these species and predict movement patterns of larvae across these habitats using larval dispersal models that simulate where they are released, how they move through currents, and where they are likely to settle. These larval dispersal models also tell us how fish populations are connected to each other. We want to prioritize areas with high connectivity, which means that they receive larvae from multiple sources and export them to important fishing grounds. High connectivity areas have more potential for production and they recover more easily from the impacts of human activity and climate change. With information on how larvae move and how habitats connect, scientists make reserve network boundary recommendations and take these to the communities for consultation. Together with the communities, they define the reserve boundaries that consider both the protection of the species and habitats and the needs of the fishers and families in the community. Once the community decides on which areas are to be protected, the models can predict the potential increase in catch that they might expect.
So more protected areas, more fish stocks, no? Kaya gusto po siya sa atong breeding ground. Then corals starting to grow.
Different MPA has different integrity. The other MPA might be a source, or the other MPA might be a sink of fish larvae. So the connectivity within this MPA provides more fish or more resources.
Aside from that, a well-managed MPA is a proven method in mitigating climate change.
Collectively, networks of marine reserves and managed access areas build the resilience of the entire ecosystem, habitats, fish, and the people who depend on them. This approach allows communities to balance protection and production, present and future.